that is kind of interesting is, I mean, one of the subjects that the film deals with is the question of suicide. And Slovenia, however small the country is, it has only 2 million people, and it's really kind of a tiny place in Central Europe. It's basically a country where we have like one of the the highest percentage of suicide rate in the world. Like we are in the top 5 countries in the world with the suicide percentage rate, which is kind of, you know, like shocking because there is no logical explanation from one point of view. I mean, economically Slovenia is really doing well. I mean, it's like from all the countries from Eastern Europe is economically the best suited from the countries from ex-Yugoslavia, where we were before. It's also by far the most well-doing, and I mean, we haven't been in war like Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, and so it's kind of interesting, you know, like why in such a peaceful country, you know, like where things, at least on the surface, seems so doing so well. I mean, but there is so much suicide, you know. I mean, in Slovenia, for example, I mean, like twice as much people do suicide than they are killed in traffic accidents. Or I mean, another statistic would say that, like, in every classroom of high school, like also mine, for example, we would have like 40 people inside, you know, like statistically one of those will do suicide. I mean, that's also what happened in my high school class, you know, so it's kind of a strange statistic. I mean, there is no, I mean, the question of suicide is always, it's a very complex question. I mean, it's not something that you can easily answer about it. I mean, there's no kind of easy answers about it. I mean, so, but it's something, you know, like that probably pushed me, like, in a way that I wanted to do the film in the way that I did.
Okay, I'd like to start out and ask a question. I know you also co-wrote the screenplay, and I wanted to ask a little bit about the development of that, especially since there's so much communicated in between the lines. So how the screenplay came about.
I did this screenplay with Siniša Dragin. He's a Serbian director living in Bucharest, in Romania. And I mean, the one thing that I like to work with him is that we both kind of don't like to say everything, you know, like just openly out, you know, like that. We would like to leave some kind of hidden spaces and in a way that, you know, how the screenplay is developed, that, you know, it's that we leave kind of open spaces, you know, it's not everything directly, just, you know, like, okay, we have like situation A going to B, going to C, but no, the way that how we like to work is like that we kind of like to put open spaces, and, you know, like when somebody's watching the film, the person who's watching the film, you know, like fills up the open spaces there are, you know, so that's something, one thing that I like, you know, like working with him.
Excellent. Do we have any questions in the audience? Yes, right here.
Just to pursue that point, it was great to see a film that didn't talk too much. Films, whether they're American or European, they just talk all the time. And I wonder if you could discuss how you made the film so visual with so little dialogue.
I think that's one thing that I'm talking about. Like it starts with the screenplay. I mean, probably it also has to do with it. You know, like the both screenwriters, we are both directors. You know, so and that we both like to speak through images, through sounds, through music, and not to tell everything through the dialogue. I mean, it's not always easy, of course. I mean, and it leaves sometimes some open spaces, but I think that's something that is even more provoking to the audience, not to say anything just so like direct to the face, like, but to leave like something open to contemplate about it, like to say, I mean, especially like film dealing with the subject as this one is, like there is not kind of just one simple truth about it. It's always kind of a very complex thing about it, and I think it's kind of, I think it better suits the story in that perspective, that you don't just say openly, like just from the very beginning what you want to say, but you kind of try to leave some things open and to develop things in that direction.
Any other questions? Yes.
How interested are you in developing mysteries within your stories?
Sorry?
How interested are you in developing mysteries within your stories?
I mean, that's always, I think that's something that film as an art loves very much. Me personally, when I watch a film, more the mystery there is, more I like the film. Like I try to go into the mystery. I would say like that. Although, from the other perspective, I would say there are like two films that I really liked very much that somehow influenced this film. They're not the same, but somehow they did influence the film. One is from Roman Polanski, the
Tenant?
The Tenant, yeah, The Tenant, yeah, thanks. And the other is from William Friedkin, Cruising, if you know the film, because it also deals like, in our story, we have a police inspector who kind of become obsessed with the subject who investigates. That is the guy who did the suicide. In William Friedkin's Cruising, is kind of a police inspector who sort of has to go into develop into identify himself with how to say another film. Maybe you're better at explaining it than I am. So these are like two films, Locoteur from Roman Polanski and William Friedkin's Cruising, that I would say there had some influence with my film that I have made.
I feel as though I have made it, it's all pulled together and I understand everything that happened in there. All the characters seem like they were complex and they were interesting, and I was pulled in by all of them. And the one thing I was going to ask though is, what about the astronaut? What was that? I didn't quite get that connection. That was a 906, and he. So can you explain that a little bit?
The point there is that we saw at one scene at the end of the film that when the police inspector goes investigating the life of the suicide guy, he went to the island where he was born, and he found there that in his child room that he idolizes Yuri Gagarin, and then he went to check out about Yuri Gagarin, and he saw that he basically at the precise time when the first flight to the space was at 9:06. But that was the same moment, the time that the guy when he committed suicide, and also the time which was kind of as a screensaver on his computer. So like, it seems like that the guy who committed suicide, it was kind of an obsession for him. Like this. From one point of view, I would say it's kind of it's sad, like it's kind of your youthful idol, like that you would have, then you somehow it turns out to be also like the way to take the time, you know, like when he did his greatest act, you know, like that's the time that you committed, you know, like the worst act of your life in a way. And from the other point of view is like that, you know, like when Yuri Gagarin went to the space at 9:06, he went up to the sky, you know, like, and the guy who committed suicide at 9:06, he went down, you know, so it's like completely opposite. So there's like a lot of this kind of symbolic things that are surrounded by it. You know.
I also thought the photography was really great. It was very crisp somehow. It was very crisp.